Hello and hi. My name is Muhammad Famudi bin Mazlan with a matrix number 2109216762. So as you can see in the slide, my project name is a file handling for Acar Mytoksue. Before we dig in more further in this problem statement that I will explain to you guys later. So what is Acar Mytoksue? Acar Mytoksue is a small company that dream to be a big company soon. That they have a big plan to widen their business more in the Malaysia. I consider myself a lucky person because I have a chance to interview the owner of the Mytoksue itself. So I asked him what the problem that they have faced during their business. So I already jot down the 4 problems that they have been faced during their business. First, they're having a high risk loss or damage of file because they use the old system of file. They use a filing system that must have been signed or write by their own hand, and they will keep in their own storage at their office. It may risk loss or damage to the file because we don't know. It maybe like a rat will eating the file itself, or maybe some untrusted employee who steal the data, and it will be a problem to the business. Second, it takes a long time for transferring data. For the audience to know that Mytoksue based in Ipoh, but they have been traveling to another country and open their own booth and news stall at another country. So if they using the old file system, they must be travel to another place and give to the another place their file. So it takes a long time. Imagine in Ipoh, we must travel to Johor to send a single file. It's taking a long time for transferring it. Third, they must deal with a natural disaster that can happen anytime. So as I can remember, last year, their office has been immersed by the flood, and it make their belonging is total loss. And this is sad for me because they work hard for it, and based that everything is gone. So fourth, too many files make it hard to determine which is and which is not. So imagine you have 1,000 of files and you must search for files that contain employees info. It's hard, right? That they must face every day. So today, our group will try to solve their problem. So I will give to the next presenter to explain about database objective.
So for our database objective, we targeted 3 objectives to achieve, which is first one is data availability. So for data availability, our target is still the data is still available and still can be accessed to various situations. The next one is data integrity. Data integrity mean that the data is reliable, authentic, and consistent database. The last one is data security. Target is the data that are stored safe from any natural disasters or unwanted accident.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Acar bin Muhammad Faris. This is my metric card. I'm going to talk about initial entity relationship diagram, ERD. For the first table, the table is named supplier with the primary key of sub ID, which then supplies to middleman with the relationship of many to one. The table middleman has the PK middle ID with the foreign key FK that is taken from the supplier table, sub ID. Middleman relates to file, one to many. The file table has a lot of foreign keys, which middle ID is taken from the table middleman. Foreign key invoice number is taken from invoice table, and the rec number is taken from receipt number. The receipt table, sorry. The file then relates to the invoice table with the relationship of many to one. Invoice then relates to wholesaler table, then with the relationship of many to one. The wholesaler table has the foreign key of invoice ID, and the invoice table has the foreign key of middle ID, which is taken from middleman, and wholesaler ID, seller ID, taken from the table wholesaler. The wholesaler relates to the receipt table with the relationship of one to many. It generates receipt. The file, the table file is also related to the receipt table with the relation of many to one. That is the receipt is stored in the file table. The receipt table is then relates to the customer. The customer receives the receipt. The receipt has the relationship of the of many to one to the customer table.
So, it's me again, Muhammad Mazlan. I will present about creating table for now. So, there are three steps for creating table. First step, you must specify the name of database in which the table is created. Step second is specify the name of the new table. And the third step is each table should have a primary key which consists of one or more columns. Okay, this is just a grasp of the MySQL. I will explain details later after this in MySQL database. Hello, it's me again. So this is MySQL database. So first, you want to create database Mytoksue. First, okay, here is in my coding. So as you see, I'm create database Mytoksue. This is the first step. So you click and see, you have a create database Mytoksue. Next, you must click on use Mytoksue, or you must coding use Mytoksue after this. See? Okay. So this is the real agenda here. How to create table. So as my friend explained earlier, I have a supplier table, middleman table, invoice table, wholesaler table, receipt table, customer table, and folder file table. This consists of 6 or 7, something like that. So next, how to create table supplier? First, you just create table here. If you want to create, so you must type create table supplier. Okay, done. Okay, many ask me, where's varchar and where's the unique not null? Varchar is a data type. So as you can see, data type here, you can put sub ID till the 6th person here. So what's unique not null? What's not null? Okay, first I will explain what is not null. Not null, we write not null because if we don't write not null, the system will null the data type itself if no input in it. So we don't want the null. So we make it not null. So why unique? Because as you can see in the ERD diagram, the sub ID is a primary key for this table. So here, you see, primary key is a sub ID. So next, subtype. Subtype we put the varchar 10 and not null. but it's not unique because subtype is not the primary key for this table. So that subchecklist, you can see Varsha 10 not null, and supplier name Varsha 50 not null, supplier number tel Varsha 20 not null, and supplier address Varsha 6 not null, supplier account number Varsha 20 not null. So if you want to create a table, you must run it from the top to the bottom, right here, like this. So yes, you can see at the bottom line, it's a create table supplier, as you can see right now. See, it means you're doing it the correct way. So how you want to see the table? So you must type select from supplier. So you run it, and you see here we don't have any data yet, but you can see here in the grid we have a sub ID, check sub ID, subtype, sub checklist, sub name, and sub number tel, supplier address, and supplier account number. So this is done. So we have done creating table supplier. Next we will create table middleman. This is the same, but now we have a reference. So first, we already know that unique not null is a PK for the table, this table, because it's a unique here. So Vacha 50 not null, middleman IC Vacha 20 not null, middleman number tel Vacha 20 not null. Okay, it's okay. With the invoice Vacha 10 not null, and supplier ID Vacha 6 not null. Okay, the primary key of this table is middle ID. Next is a foreign key. What is a foreign key? Foreign key is a, it came from another table, and it take the reference from another table. So as you can see here, in this middleman table, we have a sub ID, which is the supplier table from the supplier table. So we must put a reference here, supplier sub ID. See? So the foreign key will refer to this supplier ID. See here, supplier ID, as you can see here. So it became the foreign key to this middleman table, because that's why we put a reference here, because it refers back to the supplier table. So we must create table middleman. We create it first, and voila, and create table middleman has been created. So next, we must select from middleman. We select, and okay, let's check one by one. We have a middle ID, correct, middle name, middle IC, middle number tel, middle invoice, and supplier ID, which is the foreign key for this table. So next, we will create table invoice. So it's the same thing as before. It's the same thing, same method and same thing as before, as the table before. So we create table invoice. We put the invoice number Vacha 6, unique not null, because this table invoice num is become the PK of this table. Next is the invoice name Vacha 50 not null. Next you put invoice price decimal. Okay, what is ask me? It's what is 8 for SSOFI 2. So what is this? So 8 means 8 digits before the point. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 8. And next is 2 digits after the point. So 1, 2. So this is considered 8, 2. Okay. Invoice number tel Vacha 20 not null. Invoice email Vacha 50 not null. Middle ID Vacha 6 not null. Okay. It's same as before. The primary key is the invoice num, as you can know when we put unique here. So The foreign key is middle ID, because middle ID is reference for the middle table. So middle table is from here, but we want to create table invoice, right? So it become the foreign key for the invoice table. So we run right here. So we see. Okay, we successfully run it. Next, we must see the table itself. Okay, we must check one by one. Like always, invoice num, check. Invoice name, check. Invoice price, also check. Invoice number tell, invoice email, and middle ID for the foreign key. So it's mean to complete all the input here. So it's mean you're alright to go. Next, we will create table wholesaler. Okay, table wholesaler. Like I said before, wholesaler ID, voucher, unique, not null. This is a primary key. How do you know it? It's because we have a unique here. So why not null? I explained it before. Not null because we don't want system consider it null and make it 0 if there are no output. So next, wholesaler name voucher 50, not null. Wholesaler add voucher 6, not null. Wholesaler number tell voucher 20, not null. Invoice num voucher 6, not null. Okay, primary key, wholesaler ID, as we know, because this is a unique, and foreign key, invoice num, reference to invoice table. Where is the invoice table? Is up from this table. So we run it. Okay, we run it again to create the wholesaler table. So we run and see. We have create table wholesaler. So we select the wholesaler table to see the table itself. We check it. Wholesaler ID, check. Wholesaler name, check. Wholesaler add, also check. Wholesaler number tell, check. And invoice num for the foreign key, also check. Next, we will create table receipt. So table receipt, we must create the table receipt first, and receipt number for the primary key, unique, not null. So next, we create receipt price decimal 82. So 82 again, like I said, 8 before the point, 2 after the point, and not null. Receipt name voucher 20, not null, and receipt date not null. So why date not null? Why is not voucher? Because we want the date. We don't want the input itself to become the point, because you never see the date become 8.2 February. You never see it because of that we put a date in here. So next, wholesaler ID voucher 6 not null. First is the primary key receipt number. As you can see here, because it has a unique. So next, we have a foreign key, wholesaler ID, reference, wholesaler ID. So reference from wholesaler. Why is reference to wholesaler? Why not reference wholesaler ID? Because reference to wholesaler means reference to this table, and inside this table we reference to wholesaler ID for the foreign key, the primary key itself. See? So another chit chat, we run it. Okay, the table is created now. So we want to see the table receipt. We run it also to check it, like always. Receipt number, primary key, receipt price, receipt name, receipt date, and wholesaler ID. We create table customer, customer ID voucher, not unique, not null. It's become primary key, customer name voucher, customer detail, receipt num. So primary key is a customer ID because we know unique. And next foreign key is a receipt num. Receipt num is a receipt number. It's a short form for it. So we run it, so we can create. See, this is my This is my mistake first because I don't include the black. Okay, right now I already. Okay, we ready? Okay, 50. We already create customer table. So we select the customer table. Let's see the customer table itself. So this customer ID, customer name, customer novotel, and receipt number. Next is we create a table folder file. So the folder file is a unique file because it has a 3 foreign key, So file number voucher you need not none. So you can see the ID voucher. This is a primary key for it. Okay. So invoice number and receipt number. So primary key is file number. Meanwhile, foreign key is have 3: middle ID, invoice name, invoice number, and receipt number. So we try it. So we already created it. Congrats. So next, we insert the value or the data into the table. First, how to insert data? We must type insert into what table we want to input the data. So like here, I want to input the data to the supplier table. So I put the insert into supplier value. So the chicken, true, Mama Adin, 07 is number, the address and the what, we check it, and the supplier account number. So what is true? So here true means the supplier checklist, whether the supplier checklist have meet the requirement that we given to the supplier or not. So true, it's true. So see, we already check it, and yeah, see, insert into supplier value 212134. Okay, next we insert to supplier value. Okay, but I want to show you something. You can put the two data at the same time. Let's try it. See, we already put the two data at the same time. It's fast for your job actually. Instead of one by one, we can put it to data at the table at the same time. It make your work more faster. So next, we move on to the middleman table. So first, we determine what is the 456542. So 456542, what is it? So it's middleman ID. So middleman ID. So this is middleman ID. This is middleman name, and this is middleman number. Number. So we check. Number. I see. Number and invoice. Number and invoice. But this important to look at the behind this is the the invoice ID, the foreign key. So you can see 212132. Well, so who is 21232? It's the Irfan Zahid. It's Fahim itself. 212132. See? So we run it. Check. We also run it to the another tree because we already know how to run it. So check. Triple. I make it work faster because we don't have much time, right? So next, we have move on to the table invoice. Table invoice, you must insert the table invoice. So we have RF, we have their Gmail, and what I want to show you guys here. So invoice, you check the invoice. Who's the invoice? So the invoice, the foreign key is a middleman ID. So we check the foreign key. What is the middleman ID? So 456542. Okay, here you can see here. So 456542 here. See. the middleman ID. So we run it. We already run it. So we run all the three. So we work them faster. So the wholesaler, what is foreign key? The foreign key for the wholesaler is the invoice number. So as you can see here, 092342. 09342. Here, I can find it already. Okay, this is ignore this for a while. So, this first okay, let's see this. Okay, first. Okay, so first, okay, see the zero value. Where is it? So invoice value, I already transfer it for here. So because we already run back earlier, it can be run again. So it become false. See? But here, as you can see here, Zulaika is the last. It's right. But I tried to run it again and become false because here you see Fakrin already run it. But only Salzu that false there. So we move along. So we go to wholesaler. So wholesaler Lokman. So it take 092342. 092342. Yeah, are. So what it takes? Wholesaler. So it's the invoice number. So we run it and see it. See? We already run it. So skip it. We go to insert receipt value. So 8877482. 877,482 is for the receipt number. So receipt number, we done it. See, we already done it. Yay. So next, we go to insert into customer. We run it also. Oh no, what is it? Oh, see, I am doing it wrong because see, I don't copy it to the end. So we try again whether it's okay or not. So just remember, just this adif because here adif already the wrong. In the table is right. So we run again. See, adif is already correct here. So for the folder file, same, we run it. So yay. So lastly, we drop table. So how we drop table? We drop table file. So where to drop? How to know it's already dropped or not? We see it. Select file. Here. Select from file. Folder file. Select from folder file. Folder file. Folder file. See, wrong. Doesn't exist anymore. You see? So table so folder file is doesn't exist because we already dropped the table. So we insert the value into value. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not it. So we add auto table invoice data.now. So We copy it. Copy. I'm sorry, this one is because I wrong position. It should be under the alter table here. Because we are the alter table, so we just need to insert the table. Now, see? So next, we enter the table, drop the address. Okay, select from supplier. See? Okay, to begin, to make you clear, I will show it to you before and after. So, I will stop here first, and I will come back later. Okay, here I will show you the before. So before we have a supplier ID, supplier type, supplier checklist, supplier name, supplier number tail, supplier address, and supplier account number. So next, after we drop, so we do it by ourselves. We don't need the example. We just do it ourselves. So here, supplier ID, supplier type, supplier checklist, supplier name, and supplier number tail, and supplier account. See, we already dropped the we can see what we dropped here. We already dropped supplier address, as we can see here, supplier address. So next, we will see select supplier. Again, see, we already dropped it. So here all what contained in the table right now. So supplier invoice. Okay, see subzu. It's already here, subzu. I already alter the table before. So supplier from wholesaler, supplier from receipt, supplier from customer, and that's all for my part in creating the table. So next, my friend will explain about update, delete, and many more. Okay, thank you.
For the comparison operator, for the first question is display all data of supplier where checklist equal to 0. Sort in sending order depending on supplier ID. So this is the query. So what we need to do is select all data from supplier where the condition is supplier checklist is equal to 0. The order by supplier ID is ascending, and when we run it in SQL, it will become like this. And the second question is display invoice number and invoice price where price is lower than RM1000. What we need to do is select invoice number and invoice price table, invoice number and invoice price from invoice table, where the condition is invoice price must be lower than 1000. So when we run into SQL, the output will become like this. All the invoice price that out is under 1000. And the last question is display receipt number, price, and date where price is lower than RM35. This is the query, and what we need to do is select receipt number, receipt price, and receipt date from receipt table where the condition is receipt price is lower than 35. And when we run it in SQL, output will become like this. All of the price is under 35. Yes.
Wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ifazahim bin Zaman from OCS 103B. I am going to explain and present about two function and logical operators. What is group function? Group function are viewed in SQL function that operate on groups of rows and return one value for the entire group. The function are count, max, mean, average, sum, and distinct. For example of the group, for example of query for group function, let's look at the first query. Uh, this query want to display the supplier ID, supplier name, and supplier type from the table supplier and middleman, where the condition is supplier ID from the table supplier and the supplier ID from table middleman is the same, and group by supplier type and order by supplier type in descending order. This query have a group function like count, group by, and order by. Count function return the number of rows in the table that satisfy the condition that specified in the where condition. If the where condition is not specified, then the query return the total number of rows in the table. Group by clause is used along with the group function to retrieve a data group according to one or more columns. For example, in this query, group by function is used because we want to know the total amount of supplier type. The order by clause is used in the select statement to sort the result either in ascending or descending order. In this query, we want to sort the result by the number of supplier ID in descending order. The second query is want to display the wholesaler name, wholesaler ID, and the average of the price for the table wholesaler and receipt, where the wholesaler ID is equal to wholesaler ID from the table wholesaler and receipt, and group by wholesaler name and having an average the recipe price greater than the average receipt price from the table receipt. This query have a group function like average and having. Every function is used to get the average of a numeric column. In this query, every function is used to get the average of the recipe of the receipt price. Having function is used to filter the data based on the group function. This is similar to where condition used with group function. Group function cannot be used in where clause, but can be used in having clause. Next is logical operators. What is logical operators? There are three logical operators, namely AND, OR, and NOT. This operator compare two conditions at a time to determine whether a row can be selected for the output. When retrieving data using a select statement, you can use logical operators in the where clause, which allow you to combine more than one conditions. The third query. The query will display the customer ID, customer name, receipt number, and receipt name and receipt price from the table customer and receipt, where the receipt price is greater than 40 and receipt number from table customer and receipt equal to the receipt number from the receipt table. Order by customer ID in descending order. Next query will display the supplier name, supplier ID, middleman name, middleman ID, supplier, and supplier checklist for the table supplier and middleman, where the supplier checklist is equal to 1 and the supplier ID from the supplier table is equal to a supplier ID from the table middleman and ordered by the supplier ID in descending order. The next query is the next query will display the wholesaler ID, invoice number, invoice price, wholesaler name, and wholesaler address for the table wholesaler and invoice, where the invoice number from the wholesaler table is equal to invoice number from the invoice table, and when wholesaler address like starting with K and 28. Ordered by the wholesaler ID in ascending order. And the final query will display the middle ID, middle name, invoice number, wholesaler ID, and wholesaler name. For the table middleman and invoice and wholesaler. For middle, where middle ID from the table middleman and middle ID for the table invoice is the same, and invoice number from the table invoice and invoice number from the table wholesaler is the same and ordered by middle ID in descending order. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim Zahid bin Zaman from Group CS 1103B. I am going to explain about a group function and logical operator. Okay. First, what is logical operator? There are three logical operators, namely AND, OR, and NOT. This operator compares two conditions at a time to determine whether a row can be selected for the output. When retrieving data using the selected statement, you can use a logical operator in the where clause, which allows you to combine more than one condition. For the OR condition, for the row to be selected, at least one of the conditions must be true. For AND, all the specific condition must be true, and the last one is not. The specific condition must be false. The first query is display the receipt number, price, and date, where the date is in between 1995 to 2000. The query is select receipt number, receipt address, and receipt date from the receipt table, where the receipt date must be between 1995 January, the 1st January of 1995, and the last date of December is 31 of 2000. And it display the supplier name and address, where their account number start with 210 or 213. The query is select supplier name, supplier account number. This will display the supplier name and the supplier account number from the supplier table, where the supplier account number like 210%. This means the first three supplier account number must be 210 and 2 or 213. That is display the supplier name and number phone, where it start is not start is not 019. So select supplier name and supplier number telephone. This will display the supplier name and supplier number telephone, phone number from the supplier table, where the supplier number phone number telephone not like 109%. This means that if this table will display only only when the supplier number field is not starting with 019. Next is column function and grouping. What is group function? Group function is a function that operates on group of rows and return one value for the entire group. This function count, max, mean, average, sum, and distinct. For the first query, display supplier name, supplier ID, supplier type, and the amount they supply. Sort the order based on the supplier amount in descending order. First, select the supplier ID, supplier name, supplier type, and supplier type, and count the supplier type as supplier count from the supplier and middleman table, where the supplier ID from the supplier table is equal to supplier ID for the middleman table, and group by the supplier type and order by count of the supplier type in descending order. Next, display invoice number, invoice name, and price with a name start with a sub and price above 1,000. Select invoice number, select invoice number, invoice name, and invoice price from the invoice table, where invoice name is like SAB and percent. This is the table will show the name, invoice name that starting with SAB and having invoice price greater than 1,000. The third one is show the difference between the highest price invoice and the lowest price invoice. So the query is select maximum invoice price as max price and minimum invoice price as minimum price. Maximum invoice price minus minimum invoice price as difference between price for invoice. So in this query, we want to know the difference between highest price in invoice and lowest price in invoice. So the maximum value of invoice price must be minus to the minimum invoice price to get the difference between the price in invoice.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Acar and I'm back to talk about special operators. The first one is retrieve all data from supplier that supply chicken and drinks. The query is select from supplier where subtype in chicken and drinks. The special operator in this query is in, which the operator in specifies what it needs to find. In this case, it finds chicken, the word chicken, as stated in here, chicken, and also drinks. And the second one is retrieve all data from receipt that has price amount between RM20 and RM50. The query is select from receipt where REC underscore price between 20 and 50. The special operator in this query is between. The between specifies that the thing that needs to be found is between 20 and 50. So the application will find the anything any price that is between 20 ringgit and 50 ringgit. The third one is retrieve all data from middleman from someone that has their name start with A. Order it according to their ID in descending order. So the query is select from middleman, where middle underscore name like A percentage, order by middle ID descending. So the special operator in the third question is like. In the third query is like. The like with this thing shows that what needs to be found is initials that start with A. So like is an operator that specifies in finding anything. If you quoted it like this, right? A percentage, it shows it finds anything that middle name that starts with A. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Adi Muhammad Syafi'i. I'm going to talk about join. First of all, what is join? Join means of using a common value of each table to join one table of one table of oneself or different table. How it starts is by matching the foreign key and primary key of the related table using a equality operator. This is the question. Okay. This is the question for example question for the joining query. Every wholesaler lists all their invoice number, invoice name, invoice price, wholesaler ID, and wholesaler name. Then sort it according to invoice number in descending order. Here is how it's done. First, we select the invoice number, invoice name, invoice price, and wholesaler ID, wholesaler name. Then, before we put their each column, we put a character to identify which table that we select the data from. Okay, this is how we declare what table that they are using. From this line, from invoice I, wholesaler W, which means I is for invoice table while W is for wholesaler table. This is the condition to combine the table, where I dot invoice number equal W dot invoice number, which means each of the table the primary key and the foreign key got combined by using the foreign and primary key of that table. And next, about the order it, to sort it, we use order by I dot invoice number ascending. Okay. That is the first question. Next, the second question is display receipt number, receipt price, receipt name, customer ID, customer name, where price is higher or equal than RM14. Order the output based on receipt number in descending order. For that question, it's almost the same it's almost the same with the first question. First, we select the column that we need to display, which is customer ID, customer name, customer receipt number, receipt name, and receipt price. Then we declare each of the character for that table, which is customer C and receipt R. But doesn't mean that we just need to use R. We can use, for example, use RV and RC for anything in case you just want it. And if you do it, remember to also change the character that is in the select. Also change it that so you can recognize which table that receipt is. And this is a condition where R dot receipt price is is more than 14, which means the query will only take will display the output of data that is more than 14, that its price is more than 14. Okay, and other condition for the joining for joining the table is C dot record number and R dot record number, receipt number. This is the primary key. This is the foreign key. Well, this is the primary key. We using a equalize operator to join it. Then we order by C dot customer ID. D is descending. This is to order the sort the output, but in descending order based on the customer ID. For example, here's the output. As you can see, it shows the customer ID, customer name, receipt number, receipt name, receipt price, which is over than 40, and it will order it by descending based on customer ID. That's all for joining query. So here I am next to talk about subquery. Subquery is a query. A select statement is basically a select statement inside the query. A subquery is usually enclosed within parentheses. The output of an inner query is used as the input for the outer query. The entire SQL statement is sometimes referred to as a nested query. It usually contains where, in, or having. This is the question for the nested query. Display wholesaler name, ID, and their average sales that is above average of total sales. Okay, so the code here is the coding. So, first of all, we select the output that we want to display. It is wholesaler name, wholesale ID. Then, because we want to find average of the price, of the total price of each wholesaler, we put average R dot receipt price as average sales. And then we declare that W and R character inside the select statement. The line from the from statement is from wholesaler W and receipt R. Okay, then the condition because we are using the join statement here, we need to combine the both of the table first. So W the wholesale ID equal R dot wholesale ID, which this is the primary key and this is the foreign key. Then we need to group the wholesale name. Okay. We group it by the wholesaler name. Then this is another condition where for the subquery, having average R receipt price over select average R dot receipt price from receipt R. This is the subquery. It's basically a statement to select the average or receipt from receipt R and compare copy it for the from this. Okay, here is the output. As you can see, it display a wholesale name, wholesale ID, and average service. We use in the statement we put W the wholesale name, W the wholesale ID, and average ROC price as average sales. Then we got Izah and Atika for which has more average sale than everybody else. Okay, that's all for subquery. Thank you.